All right. Hey, everyone. Thanks for hopping on to Making Multifamily Money. So, today I just want to go over how to analyze a 16 unit apartment complex in Oklahoma City. So, for some background information, I own 46 units in Oklahoma City currently. I own a 26 unit apartment complex and a 20 unit apartment complex. I got both of these apartments off market using my direct mailing campaign. So I use PropStream for my data, and I use Yell Letters Complete for the outsourced lettering campaign. If you want to learn more about how I start up my direct mailing campaign, check out my YouTube channel. I did a whole session um, talking about how I strategize my direct mailers. But at a high level, I sent out around 1,800 letters. I closed on those two apartment complexes, and I spent around $3,000 in marketing. And just day one equity, I made $300,000. So I had a 100x return on my marketing budget there. So hopefully you guys can see my screen. So this is a deal sent to me by this broker here in Oklahoma City. So because I own, let me see, let me add these people. Because I own so much real estate in Oklahoma City, brokers actually reach out to me now. But to kind of be honest, I haven't had a broker send me a good deal. So this guy, Kevin Scoggin, he continuously sends me deals via email, um, every couple times a month. But honestly, none of the deals have been great. But I just wanted to go over how to analyze this deal to kind of teach everybody. So here it's $1.1 million. This is a 16 unit apartment complex. This one's actually 3 miles away from my 26 unit apartment complex. So I know the area pretty well. So here you just can take a look at some pictures. So, obviously someone bought this probably under market value. They fixed it up, they painted the outside here. This is kind of the modern style. Like it's kind of a gray exterior with like a fire engine red exterior door. Oh, sorry, they paint this green color to be a bit more modern. But here, so you can take a look at the condition of the units. So it looks like they just kind of retouched the cabinets, or these might be new. It's hard to tell from this photo. But the flooring, honestly, they kept the original. This looks a little bit dated. And they just painted the walls here. Bathroom, same thing. These are kind of the old school subway tile. Honestly, and then the sink here, it looks a little bit, kind of reminds me of like a hospital bathroom or a hospital shower stall. So it's a little bit dated. I mean, for me, I ripped this out and I put a bathtub kit in there, so it looks a lot more modern and cleaner. So a little bit cheap on the renovation, I'd say. Um, Here's the kitchen again. Oh, actually, it looks like this is new kitchen cabinets. These probably look like they're shaker kitchen cabinets with a laminate gray countertop. And let's take a look at the bedroom. Bedroom is pretty basic, right? Same flooring. They just painted it a medium gray, and they might have installed like a ceiling fan. So, just looking at this, I honestly don't think they spent more than maybe $6,000 to renovate this one bedroom unit. Only reason why I know is I renovated mine for about 8,000 per unit, and it looks nicer than this one. So they probably spent a little bit less than me. So year built, it's a 1962. So it's a C-class apartment complex. So this is where you get the value add properties. So all mine are about 1970s. Building size, it's around 10,000 square foot. That's kind of about right for a 16 unit. There's a new roof, new exterior paint, room to increase rent, and it's a desirable location. So I actually know this area pretty well because it's near my apartment complex. But let me kind of zoom out here. So my apartment complex is over here, next to this park over here, and near this hospital. But this apartment's right here. It's nearby a Lowe's, Sam's Club. There's a Chick-fil-A above here. So kind of my joke is if it's near a Chick-fil-A, the area is gentrifying. And there's a super Walmart here. So obviously there's a lot going on here. So location is pretty good in my opinion. Um, so now that's just kind of this is called the offering memorandum. So honestly, it doesn't really tell you much. It just shows you a couple photos. Um, Let's see the documents. So I have the documents. Let's see if I can open this. So yeah, so this is documents called a offering memorandum, or OM for short. Honestly, whatever is written on this thing is usually fabricated. So it's for lack of a better word and sounding kind of mean, it's complete bullshit usually. But let's just take a look at it so you guys can learn. So here you have the sales price. It's 16 units. So what I like to know out the gate is what's the price per unit. So let me get my calculator here. So 1.1 million divided by 16. So it's about 69,000 per unit. So if you do the 1% rule, your rents need to be at least $700, right? To kind of cash flow. That's the general rule of thumb here. This is the location. So once again, as I told you, it's near Lowe's, near a couple of restaurants here. So they're just trying to show that it's in a great location. It's gentrifying, but you always want to ask your property manager to kind of drive by the property to see if it's a great area or not, or what their thoughts are. If they're your boots in the ground, they should already know about the area. So, like I said, I already know the area because I own an apartment complex 3 miles away, so I know it's a good area. These photos, I showed you these earlier. Same thing. So here, let's take a look. So it's 12, one bed, one bath, 750 square foot. They have a four, two bedroom, one bath. The two bedrooms, 1,000 square foot. The one bedroom, 750. So let's see here. So market rent, it says it's 600. So my one bedroom, one bath for my 26 unit rents for 650. So I'm getting a little bit higher rents than this, but my units are nicer, as I mentioned earlier. And my two bedrooms is 750. But like I said, once again, they're nicer than this apartment complex here. So um, this is at least realistic, I'd say. But like once again, if you don't know your market, you want to ask your property manager to validate this for you. So here's the rent roll. I'm not sure if this is the most recent one. So I typically, when I ask talk to the broker, so Kevin, I actually ask for a recent rent roll. So I want a rent roll for November of 2022. And you can see here, these are the rents here. So let's see, the one bedroom looks like it's between 500. So there is this one rented out for 625. It seems like it's a newer tenant here. So it looks like there is some upside in terms of your rent still, but not much, right? Like these current rents, like I said, these leases look pretty recent here, and most of them are in 2022, some are in 2021. So it's pretty recent. The two bedrooms, it's around 600, so a little upside there as well. And the total rent is around 9,100 here. So this actually looks kind of recent here, but usually the offering memorandum doesn't have the most recent rent roll, so it's best practice to always ask the broker for the most recent one. And here, so this is the performa. So let's see here. So anytime you get a performa, let me blow this up a little bigger. Like you never want to blindly trust a performa because the value of an apartment complex is based on the net operating income divided by the market cap rate. So because I know Oklahoma very well, I know the market cap rate is 8%. Being conservative, it probably might be 7 to 7.5, but I'm just very conservative, so I'll say it's 8%. So what you can do is, if you want to calculate the value, you take this NOI, so that's 63,000, and you divide by 8%. So he's saying that the cap rate's 5.75%, which is complete bullshit. There's no way Oklahoma is a 5.75% cap rate. So this is where the broker is fabricating things again, right? So let me do my math here. So I'm gonna take the NOI here, 63. I'm gonna divide that by 8 cap. So that's around $800,000. Um, so 800,000 divided by 16 units, that's about $50,000 per unit. So that's what I thought. So I know in this market, for a renovated apartment complex, is $50,000 per unit, because that's how I based off of the one I have. So, like for example, my 26 unit, I bought it for $20,000 per unit. I'm putting in $10,000 of renovation per unit. So I'm all in for $30,000 per unit, but it's gonna be worth $50,000 per unit, right? So that's where I get the huge value add, where I bought an apartment complex for 500,000. And then after I'm done with renovations and raising the rents to market rent, you $50,000 per unit times 26 units, it's worth $1.3 million, right? So at that point, I would do a cash out refi and pull back all my money, all my down payment, all my renovation costs, and probably have extra money to go buy another apartment complex. So that's what I'm planning on doing, right? So that's kind of a side tangent there. But back here, this is kind of the expenses or the pro forma. So he thinks that the gross rents can be $10,000 per month. So let's divide that by 16 units to see if it's realistic. So he's saying about 625 per unit. Um, I would say it's about accurate because I think the one bedrooms is around 600, and there's a couple of two bedrooms here which can go for 700. So I think 625 is actually reasonable, right? So I don't think he's fabricating there. So this monthly rent seems reasonable. But let's look at the expense. So here, management 7%. That is accurate. I am paying my property manager 7%. Utilities, water and trash. Yeah, that's about accurate. I'm paying about 1,200 a month, a little more because I have a 26 unit a month. Um, let's see here. So, as a general rule of thumb, to make it very quick, your expenses is always 50%, right? So right here, he's saying the expense is okay, divided by around 48%, around 48% roughly. So it's pretty reasonable. But a lot of brokers that I see with their pro forma, they say it's a 35% expense ratio, which is complete bullshit, right? So like at that point they're lying. So what I hate about brokers is that the value of the apartment complex is the NOI, and NOI is based on the income minus the expense. So you can increase the income, inflate it, you can decrease your expense to increase the NOI, and you divide it by your cap rate, right? So you can fake your NOI by increasing the income or lowering the expense, and then that's the numerator. And for the denominator, the cap rate down here, you can make it a lower cap rate because if you're dividing it by a lower cap rate, it increases the value, right? So if I take the same NOI, so I think this NOI is accurate, right? The 62,000 is accurate, but what's not accurate is this cap rate here of 5%. Because when I bought my 26 unit, they did an appraisal, and on the appraisal, they told me what the market cap rate is. And I bought my apartment complex a year ago, and they said it was around like 7.75. So no way did my cap rate drop by 2 points or 2% in 1 year. So this is clearly fabricated. So let's just be nice and let's just take this NOI here, six, and let me divide it by a 7.75% cap rate. So it's about $816,000. Like that would be my offer price on this property. So this is over by $300,000 in terms of the value of this apartment complex, right? So let's go here. Let's look at some sales comparables. I was hoping they would show my property on the sales comparable. It'd be funny, but mine actually looks like kind of like this one right here, this property. Um, let's see. So not too much. This is the demographic. Not really too pertinent here. So, as you can see, the offering memorandum doesn't really give you too much information, but this one was actually better than most. But what I'm really interested in is the actual numbers. So I emailed him to get these numbers here. So this is the most accurate. Oh, actually, no, this is only in August. So this is not even the most accurate. But let's just use it for the sake of this example here. So once again, your rents are here, and then you're looking at your total here, right? So on a total basis, it's 87% occupied. You're getting around $8,000 a month, right? So let's times 8,000 by 12 to annualize it. That's going to be $96,000, right? So let's go back. Let's go to the income statement over here. And sorry, I know I'm going really fast, but I'm also recording this. So if you guys get lost, then check out my YouTube channel and then I upload it and you can replay it multiple times. So here, if I just took 8,000 times 12, that's 96,000 annualized, right? But if you look at the T12, and keep in mind, I mean, this is only from July 2022 for the past 12 months to August 2021. So right here, the annual income was 76,000. So there's a discrepancy, right? Like it should be 96,000, but here it's showing 76,000, and you get to ask yourself why, like what's going on. And what probably explains it is, they renovate the units and then started renting it out at the higher rent. So at this point, so kind of the key of me showing this is like if there's a discrepancy between your rent roll annualized versus the T12, you should dive in deeper to ask why, like what's going on. Like, in this case, it was clearly, they're renovating units and then they were raising the rents to market rent. And I know that's happening because I'm renovating like 14 units in my 26 unit. And, a lot of people are leaving and a lot of people stop paying because they know I'm going to raise the rent eventually. So that's just the nature of the game of real estate. But you can see here, it's a discrepancy. So all I'm saying is just ask why, right? Ask why, what's going on. And then here, so I don't really focus too much on the expenses. I just look at the total. This is my preference. And the way I underwrite is back of napkin math. So you want to look here, it's 50,000. So I want to know, is this 50% of my income? And if so, it's accurate, right? So let me take my income here. So it's, I think my expense was 50,000 divided by 76,000. My expense is actually 65%, which is actually a little bit high, but maybe, let's see um, why it's high here. Can't figure out why, but usually if it's kind of, my apartment's running at around 55%. Usually if it's above 55%, it's all bills paid. So that means the landlord is covering all the utilities. And let me take a look at the utilities here. I mean, that's not bad for a 16 unit. So it's not all bills paid. Here, um, oh, they have plumbing issues. There you go. I found my issue. So here, it looks like they're spending every month a lot of issues on plumbing. So maybe they had clogged toilets, maybe some sewer pipe broke. So, that explains why the expense at 65%. So if you kind of exclude this plumbing, it probably is around 50%. So this is pretty accurate in terms of the income here. So your net operating income is going to be $30,000, right? So now I have $30,000 as my NOI. Let's calculate my loan, right? And let's assume it's their price of $1.1 million. So here's my little handy dandy calculator that I made. Um, so for those of you who are curious about this, this is a calculator for those who are in my course and my mentorship. They all get this. But let's calculate my loan amount here. So let's just go over their or their asking price of 1.1 million for the sake of example. So I'm gonna have to, let's assume it's 25% down. It might have gone up now because interest rates went up, but so my loan is 825,000. Let's put 825 here. Um, so this calculator has principal and interest only. For the sake of example, I'm just gonna do principal and interest. Interest rate, I'm just gonna be very conservative and assume it's 8%. Um, Honestly, it's probably not too far off compared to today's standards. 30-year amortized. You can get a 30-year amortized loan. If you guys want hookups with my lender, just send me an email. I'll be happy to share that. So 12 payments a year. Oops, sorry, let me admit somebody here. Um, so here, my monthly payment for this loan is $6,000 a month, and it's $72,000 a year, right? So what was my NOI again? It was $30,000. So I'm cash flow negative on this property, right? You're cash flow negative. You're negative around $40,000 a month. So divide that by 12. What's that? Around 3,500 a month. You're cash flow negative. So that tells me out the gate that this is an overpriced property, right? But let's be nice. Me assume this new rent roll here. So let's take this rent roll here. So we're going to get $8,000 a month in rent, right? So I'm gonna go real fast here. So let's get $8,000 times 12. So my annual income is gonna be $96,000. We're gonna cut that in half, assuming a 50% expense ratio. So my NOI is $48,000, assuming this newer rent rule, right? But my loan annually is gonna be $72,000. So once again, that's minus 17,000. I'm cash flow negative $24,000 a month a year, which is $2,000 a month. So this property is overpriced, right? But now you're gonna say, well, Stephen, like, how should I make an offer on this property? So you just can work backwards from here, right? So let me go to the next screen actually. So this final screen, it shows the current and the pro forma principal and interest. And what's nice is you have the offer price, down payment. You have your debt service coverage ratio calculator. So it should always be greater than 1.25. If it's greater than 1.25, a lender will lend on it. Cash on cash return, I try to aim for around 8%. That's a little bit harder in this market now. But, honestly, if you're 6% day one, that's not too bad. There. So let me just punch in these numbers here. So let's go back to my offer. I want to offer $800,000 for this property. So I'm gonna punch $800,000 here. Let me blow this up. Sorry about that. So here, 800,000, 25% down. So what's my down payment? It's gonna be $200,000. Let me actually punch in my expenses here. So let's go $8,000 per month times 12. It's 96,000. And for performer rents, let's go for $10,000 a month. Sorry, I'm gonna admit someone again. So it's gonna be $120,000. Here, $120,000. One more zero. So when you're underwriting for vacancy, I always typically assume 5%. I know Oklahoma City is a pretty hot market, so 95% occupancy is realistic. But if your market has more than 5%, change this number here. You can ask your property manager for that number. And then here, so I have 16 units. I'm lazy, so I just go down here and assume my expense is 50%. So what you want to do is I took this from the property, it's 49,000, and then under your pro forma, you want to match it because it's the expenses are usually going to be the same even once you raise the rents because you have economies of scale. So you can see here my expense ratio is 51% when I first took over the property, but once I raised my rents, my expense ratio is 40%. And some of you are asking why? Like, why is your expense going down? Like, why are you not increasing your expenses? Because you have economies of scale, right? Your property tax is the same, your insurance is the same, your expenses are relatively speaking the same, your maintenance is the same. The only thing that goes up when you raise your rents is a property management because you pay them 7%. So if your rent went up by $100, you pay them $7 more for that extra $100, right? So your only expense that really goes up is your property management, right? So that's why it goes down. But on the actual, it should always be at least 50%. So I put a little cheat sheet here for all my students. It should be at least 50%, right? And let's see my loan amount. Let me see this transposed correctly. So mortgage calculator, so loan amount. Let's just go with $800,000 purchase price. So oops, 1,000 times 0.75. So my loan 600,000. So now it calculated for me, and let's go to the final analysis. So $800,000 offer price, $200,000 down. My NOI is 46,000. My annual debt service was calculated here. So my net cash flow on an annual basis is 5,900. My net cash, that's annual. Monthly, it's about $500 negative. So that's why I said like the offer price of 800,000 makes more sense, right? Like I already kind of knew that out the gate. Cash on cash is negative, but let's look at the pro forma. So this is what the higher rents, right? Oh, I'm sorry. Back here, the debt service cover ratio, it's 0.89. So no bank will lend on this property. Right here, no bank will lend on this property. It has to be at least a 1.25. So either you have to do a larger down payment or lower your offer price. But let's look at the pro forma here. So this is your new NOI. So this one, I'm cash flowing once I'm done around $1,700 a month. And that comes out to be 11% cash on cash return, That's not too bad, right? I mean, this is not a heavy lift here. So, if you can get this property for $800,000, I mean, honestly, I'd probably buy this, to be honest, if it was $800,000. And, what I would do is I would submit an LOI for $800,000 and see what they say. They might just throw it back in my face because it's $300,000 less. But if they want that $1.1 million offer price, I'm going to ask for creative financing, right? Do you want to give this to me seller financed if it's paid off? Or do you want to give this to me subject to if there's a loan, right? Your price, my terms. And here, what's nice about this calculator that I have here is it calculates the new value. So, after you raise the rents, now it's worth about $925,000. So you just forced $125,000 of equity, right? So that's what's really nice about this property here. So yes, let me stop sharing.